Very interesting topic, environmental sustainability in business. Environmental sustainability in business. And with me in studio this morning is Catherine Musakali. She is a sustainable, inclusive business influencer. Also, she's a founder of Dorian Associates. And also we do have with us Professor Nicholas Oguge from the University of Nairobi, also the Environmental Policy Department. We do have with us as well John Gachora. He is a chairman at the Kenya Bankers Association. Also is a CEO of NIC Bank. Also we do have with us as well Karin Boomsma, right? I hope I got it right. Boomsma, project coordinator, sustainable inclusive business. Of course, the knowledge center when it comes to sustainability. So let's get down to business. We talk about this. We saw what has really happened when it comes to, of course, the vagaries of environment biting back because we don't really take care of our environment. Sustainability, for them that are waking up this morning and they're wondering and they're seeing on the screen environmental sustainability in business, what do we mean? Maybe we can begin with the knowledge department. We go to Nairobi University and hear from Professor Oguge to tell us more, just to give us, a broader perspective of what we're talking about this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you.
And good morning, viewers. Thank you very much. When we talk about sustainability,
yes,
we're really talking about changing mindsets. And it's changing minds of people,
yes,
on how they think, how they behave, in everything they do. Whether it is within their houses,
yes,
where they're going to work, at their place of work, and how they do the production systems. So we're really looking at responsible consumptions and responsible production systems. So in a nutshell, that's what sustainability is all about. Now, if we perhaps now put it to the corporate sector, then what we see is that attaining sustainability is a journey. It's not something that you're going to do one-off, say by planting trees or
yes,
so. And we can therefore categorize the sector perhaps into three, depending on where they are along that journey.
Yes.
We are perhaps having a group at the beginning who are at loggerheads with the environment. And maybe their motto is, if it's good for the environment, it's bad for the business. So these are the people who pollute. These are the people who release pollution into the water systems.
Yes.
The solid waste, etc., without proper care. Then we have the group that we can refer to perhaps as risk mitigators. And these are the people who support environmental leadership and stewardship programs. And perhaps they'll support cleaning systems, they'll support tree planting,
yes,
etc. And then the third group, perhaps at the highest level, are the forward-thinking and progressive groups. And these are the ones who will look at environmental issues as opportunities.
Yes.
And they're the one who will therefore figure out how to change their way of operation in the system, but over and above, find ways of how they link with the stakeholders and the market downstream, how they innovate the new products, based on the environmental challenges. So
Innovation also is a big aspect of it. When we really want to conserve the environment, also the way we innovate really comes to play. But it's in a broader perspective, because we know, yes, there are various initiatives, and it is not about, CSR, the corporate social responsibility.
Yes.
So it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. CSR will be, we are planting trees, call Nation Media Group, all the cameras, okay, are we on? Are we rolling? Yes, let's start, smiles. That's how it goes. But when it comes to sustainability, we have the whole issue of reporting, even the annual reporting, that it has also captured this concept of sustainability when we're talking about the integrated reporting. Can we hear from you also, Catherine? Just tell us a bit of this and why also it's pivotal, because also the consumer conscience is coming to play, that they're realizing as much as you're making supernormal profits, how then are you also conserving the environment from which you're extracting some of these products that you use in your business?
Good morning, viewers. So for me, sustainability simply defined is meeting current needs without compromising future needs of the population and generations to come. And so when we talk about sustainability from a corporate governance perspective, we are talking about it from a triple bottom line approach, which is people, planet, profit. And that's because organizations have ceased to exist merely for shareholders. Organizations exist for stakeholders. And when we talk about stakeholders, we are talking about the government, we are talking about society, we are talking about employees, consumers, so on and so forth. And that's why when we define sustainability, we say it is based on people, planet, profit. So yes, you're making profits for the future, but how are you making sure that the environment in which you are operating is also looked after and is sustainable in the future? How are you taking care of the society, the people that who have given you a license to operate? Who is there to look after your business in the future? And that's why when we come to corporate reporting, we're now saying that we don't want just to see the financial results that you have made. We also want to see what you have done, the background against which you have achieved those results. How have you treated the environment? How have you treated the people, so on and so forth. So economic, social governance is what really sustainability reporting is all about.
Economic, social governance, I like it. Let's hear from John Gachora, because yes, also we know from the financial sector, you're also embracing the whole aspect of sustainable financing.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell us sustainable financing, what is it all about, and what some of the nuances that you have on the sustainable financing that is helping preserve the environment as well.
So thank you and good morning everyone. So 2 years ago, as Kenya Bank Association, we drove something we call the Sustainable Financial Initiative, and aligning the fact that we wanted to build consciousness across the financial sector on sustainability. All the members of Kenya Bank Association signed up to that initiative, and the initiative was very clear, or the thoughts were very clear. That to what Catherine just said, that at the end of it, it's about being responsible for where you operate. The license that we have to operate where we do comes from the environment, comes from the people, and that is the planet that she's talking about. And so it becomes quite important that whenever we finance any of our customers, we first try to find out how whatever we are financing is going to affect the people and the environment. And that becomes very important. Before you even look at the other side of it, is how profitable it is, will they be able to pay my loans? You also look at how it's going to affect everything else. So I think the financial sector has embraced this. I should take it further and say we as now NIC Bank, as you may know, launched together with our partners what we are calling the Change the Story Initiative.
Change the Story Initiative.
Change the Story Initiative. Yes. Something that has galvanized, I believe, the nation into planting trees, and we are breaking it to that bottom. We are saying, yes, planting trees isn't sustainability in itself, but it is part of. Just as sustainability within the United Nations definition has 17 goals. Each one of them contributes towards the overall sustainability. And what we are saying is each individual can actually play a role into this sustainability. It's not about corporates, it's not about governments, it's not about experts, it's not about NGOs, it's about everybody taking responsibility for sustainability.
And of course also you have an initiative that is coming is it over the weekend as well, on tree planting?
Yes, we're pretty much doing tree planting every weekend and every day.
Every weekend?
Every weekend, every day.
So
ours is not about just as you say, you define it very well. It's not about showing up and getting good pictures for the media.
Yes.
It's actually about galvanizing everybody to plant trees. And we believe so far, we believe we have managed to galvanize the planting of over 5 million trees and counting. And that is what we want to see. Because at the end of the day, if people don't take responsibility, government cannot be everywhere. Karin cannot be everywhere. Catherine cannot be everywhere. Corporates cannot be everywhere. Individuals must take that responsibility. It's a small step towards the whole goal of sustainability. Yes.
All right. Let's hear from Karin as well, because I know you in this business, and under the aegis of KEPSA as well, you have so many companies, the private sector, that where you're trying to inculcate, you know, sustainability through sustainable inclusive business where you work. You have principles that they need to adhere to. Maybe you can give us also, you know, just drill deeper and tell us what does this really entail when you have this, of course, principles that you want them also to embrace. What are they?
Yeah. So, thank you very much. So we operate within KEPSA Foundation as a knowledge center. And it's completely in line with also what Catherine is saying. If you look at the integrated reporting, for instance, it boils down to the same. So what you want to do is that you don't look at that one single aspect, making profit, but because you don't operate as a business in isolation. You don't operate as a citizen in isolation. You're part of people and planet. Without it, you can't exist and you don't operate. So we really look at that, and those kind of things are capital as well. So you need that new mindset again. So we are all on one line, but and that's what we have to drive forward in this nation. You look at all the aspects, because without, like, the financial indicators are not enough to tell you whether your business is going to sustain, whether it's risk-free, whether it's going to be ready for the future, whether it's innovative enough, whether you're agile enough. It's not being told by the profit you're making. It's even not told that whether your price of a product, is that a true price of your product? Yes. For instance, you charge maybe something costs 50 bob because you produce it in that way, and but if you, on the other hand, have used or abused or nature, and that has cost 100 bob, if you could value it like that, is it still cheap? Is it still a really fair and nice price? Should we be happy with it? So what you try, we see that it's moving from a nice to do to a must do. Luckily, we are moving away from a nice to do, because it's essential for a sustainable business to run it in a sustainable way. So we look at human capital, like your human resources are capital, intellectual capital, manufacturing, finance, and natural capital, and then social. So those aspects you all look at. So we look at those pillars. If we assess a company's performance, we look at all those things. What do you do with your impact of your full business operation? So people within your business, people outside your business, communities you affect outside your business. What do you do throughout the value chain? Are you transporting? Are you distributing? Who are those? Are your suppliers sustainable? Okay, and if you work together and look and you feel responsible for that full business impact, your business is much risk-free. So probably it's very likely what John is telling, that they would invest with less interest rates in your company, because you know that even if you face some challenges, you're much more resilient than anyone else.
So the scalability, we can see also that really is cascade. It really goes, you know, the whole ambit. It is not just from the financing, the social aspect, the intellectual property. It is all inclusive. But I want us now to define it briefly, the way you actually put it in the beginning, that we have people, we have a profit, and we have also, remind me, and the planet. Yes, very key. Planet, people, a profit. Let's begin with the people, because you've set the stage for that. And we can come to you, Professor Oguge, to tell us more about the people. Because it seems, yes, for any company to really thrive, human resource is very key. But we've seen most companies that they don't really appreciate the human capital aspect of it. All they see is the bottom line. All they see is, you know, we want the company to, you know, go to the A list without really taking care, I should say not really of the bottom line, but the people who are actually driving, or the engine of the company itself. When we're talking about sustainability, because we have all this confirmation bias, when we talk about sustainability, we just think about the environment, right? We think about trees, we think about, you know, water bodies, but when it comes to the human capital, it is left at the back burner. How can we bring that particular aspect, especially to companies, that human aspect, the human capital is very key when we're talking about sustainability?
Yeah, I think well, that's a very good point to belabor. But first of all, before you go to the people, we start with the planet.
We start with the planet.
Yes, because that is where the challenges, major challenges are, and the people are going to address those issues. Now, when we talk about sustainability challenges, planet as per Catherine's position, we know that at the moment we are really losing biodiversity and nature's contribution to people, and that is the basis of sustainable development. We have issues of climate change. We have food insecurity issues. We have to address many other components of the environment, but maybe those are critical.
Yes.
But also over and above that, corporates rely on resources, and resource scarcity is increasing, whether you're talking about water scarcity, energy scarcity, etc. So to me, though, when the companies are addressing the sustainability issues, they need to, as John indicated about the SDGs, the 17 goals, they need to frame themselves within that. They need to incorporate that in their strategies. And they need to get the right people. So now, from planet, now you go to the people.
Yes.
Now, and this is now where we talk about the mindset. And when we talk about the mindset, there is a chance that you may just have a sustainability officer in a corporate area and doing some work and pushing people to do this and that. Now, that is not appropriate. You have to change the mindset right from the CEOs and the governance structure within the particular corporate. The governance structure must embrace it, whether it is the board, the management, and the people who are working within that setup. So to me, the people, we must change their mind by giving them appropriate, information and training. And as I said, it's a journey. It's not something that we can get in one training or two training. It's something we must walk with them through. And to me, one of the ways that this can be done is for the corporate to link up very well with institutions, particular institutions of higher learning. Because in the institution of higher learning, apart from having the personnel who are experts, but you also have a very strong research component among the students. We have the postgraduate students who are doing a lot of research and who are creative and bring the innovative approaches. So if we work together, then you'll find that these innovative ideas can be cascaded across the entire sector of a corporation. So you must embrace it, not just at the board and the management, but along the line. But we walk them through in the changing their mindset in a sustainable approach of doing things. That's the only way. And even if say we do tree planting, etc. To me, tree planting alone is not as critical as tree growing, because you'll plant that tree. We can come, put 1 million trees, and then we go away. Then how do we ensure that we have survival of even 70% etc. So we must embrace the idea of tree growing other than tree planting.
Right.
So we must be there all the time. It's a journey.
So that is the initiative that we hear from Gachora as well. It's not a tree planting that is an exercise for a day, then you forget it. It is actually a paradigm shift in the way we think about the environment, that yes, we should be conscious on having, tree growing, consistently. That would be another aspect.
Yeah, and I think the professor has laid the nail on the head. And I think people ask me why our campaign as teams is about individuals planting trees. The reason it was actually because what we found out is corporates have gone out and planted trees before.
Yes.
They'll go and plant 100,000 trees. However, they don't follow up for the sustainability of those trees.
Yes.
Yeah? Corporates don't have the capacity. But individuals who plant trees, when I would plant a tree in my compound, I make sure that tree grows because I know how I got it, I know how I planted it, I know what it needs. That is why we think that individuals taking responsibility is key. But I also wanted to comment on this people aspect because I again reflect to the 17 goals of the SDG. If you look at them, most of them actually do address people. It's about poverty. It's about food security. It's about health. Things that have to do with people. So for me, people will go beyond the training on sustainability, or them understanding sustainability. It's about how does this affect people? So we can go plant trees. but are we planting trees at the exclusion of shelter? Yeah? Are we planting trees at the exclusion of food security?
Yes.
Are we saying farmers, you peasant farmers, stop farming cabbage or farming, you know, maize, which is your subsistence, but instead plant trees because that matters more than what you're doing? No, what we are saying is you have to look at it holistically. And to Karin's point, yes, absolutely. Today, the National Treasury is conducting a conference today to talk about the green bond financing.
Yes.
And the green financing initiative is key and very important for us because it's about how we can, in fact, throw money at the whole green economy, at the whole sustainability economy. There's already a lot of it being done outside of Kenya, and we're trying to make sure here in Kenya that we can grow it. So we're working together as financial sectors, both government side as well as the private sector, to ensure that green economy is given the right financing to grow. So I think it's all inclusive.
It's all inclusive. Let's hear from Catherine. Maybe you can share your initial thoughts about the planet, or maybe your initial thoughts about the people as well, as we try and broaden the discussion.
Yeah, Debarl, sustainability needs to be looked at from a strategy perspective. And that's why when you look at the codes of corporate governance, they require organizations to actually have sustainability goals in place. Not just listed firms, not just parastatals, but any other entity. And it goes to even the family, as John has said. And so when you start looking at sustainability from a strategy perspective, when you're setting your strategy, you're building sustainability into the strategy. What that means is you don't just wake up one morning and decide, oops, I have a budget that I need to spend at the end of the year, I'm going to plant trees.
Yes.
Or I have a budget, I'm going to visit kids in an orphanage. You have thought through this whole issue, you have aligned it to your strategy, and you're saying, these are the goals I am going to address in the next 5 years with regard to people. These are the 5 goals I'm going to address with regard to planet, and these are the 5 goals I'm going to address with regard to profit. That means that then your strategy is very balanced from a sustainability perspective, because you're not only looking at you're not skewing the goals in any way. And when you talk about people, you're also talking about inclusive of succession planning.
Yes.
Who do we have to make sure that this organization is sustainable in the future? How do we make sure that these people have the capacity to actually make the right decisions? Now, from a family perspective, or from a trader's perspective, let me just give an example.
Yes.
If I leave my house and I have used oil in my cup,
Yes.
and I pour it into the drainage, it's out of my house. But am I ensuring that the planet is sustainable in the future? When Coca-Cola thinks about its business in the future,
Yes.
they need water to make the drinks that they're making. So when they're building their strategy, inevitably they have to think about, where are we going to get this raw product that we need to put our products on the shelves? So sustainability has to stop being an end in itself, but it has to be part and parcel of our strategy right from the word go. Yeah.
Right, let's say from Karin as well. Sustainability officers is now the word that we're hearing. Firms, they have now to actually, hire a sustainability officer. We have a sustainability department as well. What will that really encapsulate? Is it all the strategies that we hear that Catherine is talking about today? Is it about also the green financing when it comes to the financial sector, when, or the green buying when it comes maybe to a procurement department? What would that be?
I think what it will lead us to, if you have, for instance, a sustainability manager, or you look at it from a really serious perspective,
Yes.
is that you are able to make it part of your business DNA. So what you see now is, in a lot of, even if you are a bit advanced already, it's still, okay, I have a great example. I have reduced sick leave. Oh, I have a great example. I've reduced my energy use. But I don't really know where it belongs in the strategy, and if I'm not around, how does it... So you have to make sure it becomes business DNA. You have to make sure it's actually your business practice. If you would not practice it, you would run less well, let me put it like that. So, so it becomes essential. It's one of the inputs in your business. Like all those inputs together, they bring not only output, they bring outcomes, and that's where we have to move to. And to give you an example, for instance, we see in a great flower farm. If you look, I will give an example in terms of nature, and then in terms of human capital. If you look at people and you take care of that human capital, for instance, you give people a health insurance. There's nice technology nowadays. You can do great things like for MTIBA on M-Pesa, and then you provide health insurance. What they do, they have provided their people with health clinics. So you go to that health clinic on the farm. You have your privacy. You're anonymous in when you need help. You can just judge yourself when you need to go. But what happens is that the complaints you receive in the health facility, they might relate to a specific department in your business. So maybe flower cutters come with a lot of backaches.
Yes.
If you notice that as an employer, not only have you given people the right to health insurance, but also now you can improve your business environment for people to do not have to go to the doctor. So what they have done is first they have controlled their health costs in the farm, they have reduced sick leave, but they also improved their work environment. And that makes business sense. That's simply business sense, but it makes sense for everyone, for people as well. If you look at the energy, for instance, and you save energy, another flower farm, they've changed all the normal light bulbs with the LED. Okay, this is not rocket science, we all know this. But they save 8 million shilling a year. That is making business sense. And at the same time, you're not replacing. Light bulbs break quite easily.
Yes.
A LED doesn't break. So also again, in terms of raw materials, you think, you know, as a company or as an individual, I don't really want a lamp. I actually want light. Yeah, why am I responsible for that that glass, and what do I do with it when I throw it away?
Yes.
You know, you want to go to the supermarket. I want vegetables. I didn't ask for it to be packed in 7 layers. I didn't. I wanted to have the broccoli.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's we have
those nuances. Yeah.
No, but it's true, and we have to make sure, and that's what John also saying. Like the planting of the trees. One tree, that's not the solution, but you have to ensure that people understand that it's part of the whole. That's why I like the whole thing about biodiversity, and because then planting trees, it's not replacing an agribusiness. You need it both. If you want to grow healthy vegetables, you need trees on the side. If you need healthy vegetables, you don't need to ruin your soil, because then you don't have nutritious vegetables, and we're actually eating nothing. So we as individuals and all together, for whatever reason, for whatever role we play in society, we need to understand that everything is related.
Everything is related.
Everything is related.
It's good. Also, you raise the issue of people, and when it comes to ergonomics in the office, you're talking about bad seats. The employer doesn't really realize how he can actually save on the insurance. He can save on medical bills just by simply getting a good seat with maybe a good high seat that can support you back nicely. When it comes to, you talk about the green financing, and we know many bankers, of course, they sit long hours in the office.
Yes.
But you might come to a bank and you find the seats they are sitting on, people don't know why actually they're going to the doctors because with the back problems, but it could be their seats. Is it possible maybe that we should have a compliance certificate? That we have inspectorate officers from Kenya Bankers Association going through all the banks. And it's not just the bankers. We're talking about, I'm just using you as an example.
Yes.
Yes, because these are cases that are coming also from the, the Ministry of Labor when they do the occupational safety, health inspection. That most cases, the ergonomics of the workplace is really wanting. People who are working in factories are not supplied with, safety boots. They are not supplied with also maybe masks. The air conditioning is poor. and people suffer. And when it comes to compensation, what then? Compliance certificate. If you don't have it, you as a banker, you don't have a good economics for your people, enough lighting. People are suffering because of depression, but it is because maybe they don't have good lighting. You know, the offices they're working in, they're dark. Maybe you can talk to us about that.
Well, today, in fact, there are certain standards you're required to meet, yeah?
Yes.
And you do get inspected and you get certificates.
Yes.
You know, there's a volume of seating. How many people can you sit in a room that has X amount of ventilation?
Yes.
Those standards are there. And every company is required to follow those standards. Now, not everybody does, obviously. I'm sure you've been into offices where people are properly crammed.
Yeah, crammed up, yeah.
But the reality of the matter is that there are certain building codes and requirements, as well as health standards, that are set by the counties as well, that say in this area you can only seat X number of people and they must have X amount of space for themselves. But you asked about compliance beyond that, sustainability compliance. I think it's important. You know, coming from the banking sector, I would be the last person to support another inspection because we get a lot of them. However, I think sustainability must be everybody's business. Sustainability must be everybody's business. The people Professor talked about here, about educating our own people, making sure they are aware of what they need to do for sustainability and what it means to them. What benefits? Karin has talked about benefits, direct benefits that accrue to them. You know, looking at sustainability, one of the goals that perhaps we don't talk about a lot in the SDGs is gender equality. Right? It's gender equality.
Yes.
Something that makes absolute business sense. Yeah? That one should not be a negotiation. As a country, we have tried to do this. We have tried to legislate, even in our own constitution,
Yes.
to legislate, because it makes sense. We are not doing it because we are being nice to the ladies or you're being nice to the men. You're doing it because it just makes businesses. So I think at the end of the day, is people must accept that sustainability is core to their business. Now, Catherine talked about Coca-Cola and the water.
Yes.
And I think it's such an interesting topic. However, it's not just about Coca-Cola.
Sure.
Banks, for example, we want people to work late. So energy becomes very important for us. Yeah, we want them to work late. We're still building these massive buildings as offices. So lights are on all day. The amount of money we spend on energy is immense. Yeah, customers that we finance, whether they're in manufacturing, the amount of money they have to pay to KPLC just for energy is immense. So for us, for example, we're telling our customers, is there a better way? Maybe solar energy helps you reduce your cost of production, and therefore you are able to pay your loans back to us. Those are some of the things that I think just make common business sense. Should they be followed with a certificate? I'll leave that to others.
Yeah, so that now we can have strict measures. People actually, if they don't comply, you are not in the association, you don't have a certificate. I think KRA has actually put stern measures for us nowadays. When you have to go there, you've not you file your returns, you cannot get a certificate. That should be the same measure.
But in reality, I am.
No, you can't do that with everything.
Yes.
And you know,
Exactly.
in the
But
end,
how do
you
we
can't
enforce it?
enforce. No,
Yeah.
that's the
It's
whole bottom line.
knowledge.
Everyone is always complaining about, but it's not being enforced. I have a
Yes.
code of ethics now. How? What about it? But even, I mean, government has great policies in place. I think Kenya is super capable of putting all the policies and rules in. Enforcement needs to come from us.
Yeah.
It needs to make so much sense. It needs to come from us. You can't, you get checks and checks and checks, you get them double, then you never get them. Some people are under the radar, they will never ever be checked. Others will be checked 15 times while they're already being good. I think enforcement needs to come from us because we need to see that it makes sense.
Right, this is all about damage control from a sterling performance. If you read his, the chairman's book, Pouring Your Heart Into It, you know, that particular book about Starbucks that was written by Howard Schultz, you'll see how Starbucks has really grown to be what it is today as a coffee, you know, restaurant, or coffee also exporting, you know, enterprise to what it is right now, grappling because of issues of the employees who were embroiled in a racial slur or, you know, a racial altercation that we just saw. When it comes to consumer conscience, this is where also the customer has to be driving the agenda. How do we as consumer also get into the circle that we don't have to enrop a particular product? Yes, if this particular product is violating human rights, we don't have to buy it. We put them out of business. if it's actually extracting from the environment or, also putting back the refuse back to the rivers, we don't have to actually buy their products. Many people are suffering at the cost right now because of lead content in what is there, and they cannot be compensated. Where is the consumer conscience, and how significant is it in contributing to the way that people choose the services and the products from some of these farms? Let's hear from Catherine.
So Debarl, as John said, sustainability begins with you and I. So first and foremost, everybody within the population needs to be empowered and given the necessary knowledge about the simple actions that can be taken towards sustainability. Once we become aware of what needs to be done, then as a country we shall start to hold people accountable, and we shall make those choices that you talk about as consumers. But unless we are aware and unless we know what needs to be done, that then becomes a tall order for us. So I would start by saying that yes, consumers can push organizations into ensuring that certain actions are being taken, but they too need to be aware of what needs to be done, so that the same test I am applying to myself is the same test that I'm expecting somebody else to live to. And so it is so important that this knowledge that is available here is actually shared, and people understand why certain things have to be done the way in which they have to be done. Unless that happens, then we cannot just call for boycotts. It goes back to what I've been saying, which is a lot of these things are questions of the heart and the mind. Goes back to law was made for man and not man for the law.
Yes.
You know, it is about not having the laws in place, but complying because I know it is the right thing to do.
All right, let's hear from Professor.
Thank you. I think that we need education right from the basics to the top. We need awareness to engage with people. And if you look at the Sustainable Development Goal 4, it really talks about issues of education. So for us, I think when you, and as I said, sustainability about mind changing, we have to start right from the beginning. We have to train those children in the kindergarten, not to throw things anywhere, not to leave the tap running, not to leave the lights on, So when they're leaving the room, that is. So we need to start early and grow with them. It's a journey, and even you heard the Starbucks person saying it's a journey. Also, of course, there are already a lot of problems out there, and now we need to have a proper awareness system that could be driven by the government and supported by the corporates, so that even, and each corporate, and I think when I hear of Karin, I see that she talks more on what I was referring to as forward thinking and progressive.
Yes.
Where that, you look at environmental challenge as an opportunity. But at the same time, the people that are working with you, you have to walk along with them by giving them appropriate awareness, appropriate training.
Yes.
You ease them into that. But you mentioned the consumers.
Yes.
It is also the corporates must reach out to their consumers and try to engage them in more sustainable approach to undertaking issues, to using their products, and they need themselves to be producing products that are less polluting, and the consumers need to demand those kind of products. So in my opinion, that is part of the progressive approach in looking at the issues of sustainability.
Right, and we know we have a very informed consumer.
Yeah.
Right, the issue of us not really having the knowledge of how companies are treating companies, that is diametrically different right now in this epoch of time. When we are coming from a very informed consumer who knows that if I want to go to a certain bank, Mr. Gachora, then I know if you don't treat the customer well, right? If you don't have the good, sitting environment as a way to be served by the teller there, then I don't have to come back to, to that particular bank at all. Let's talk about the consumer conscience and also how businesses, they have to change because of, you know, the changing environment and the changing business strategies that are adopting to this particular aspect of sustainability?
I think thanks to social media, Twitter, WhatsApp, and others, today we have an exceptionally informed consumer, right? So whatever happens to a consumer at a branch can be videotaped, it can be spread like wildfire to everybody. So today, the biggest fear today is that a consumer goes on Twitter and complains about a particular bank. Yeah, so therefore we are very sensitive to the voice of the consumer.
Yes.
You asked earlier, should consumers vote with their wallets when it comes to sustainability? I strongly believe so. I always say that if a consumer goes to a bank and knows that that bank, their friend when they was asked to pay a bribe to get a loan or to pay a bank manager for their loan application to be accepted, that consumer should not go to that bank again. They should find a new bank, because in reality, when you support practices that are not sustainable, you are anti-sustainability, in my view. So I think voting with their wallet is very, very important. And that goes for interest rates. We've talked about interest rate caps. We have said remove these caps, because in actuality, the consumer today is very well informed. We are publishing cost of credit for everybody to see what each bank is charging. And I think the central bank governor was very clear when he said, consumers, please vote with your wallet. Yeah, if you don't believe that you should be charged 25% by this bank, and you know there's a bank that's charging 18%, go to that bank that's charging 18%. So that goes to every product that a consumer looks at. I mean, on that, I just want to comment on one thing. You know, the government was, in fact, I think, very forward-thinking in banning plastic bags. Yet, we, the same consumers, would be driving by the road and we are buying sugarcane wrapped in plastic bags. We, the consumers, are the same people going to the markets and saying, because it's raining, please wrap my ware in plastic. Yeah? So we are actually not being supportive of something that is so fundamental when it comes to sustainability today. So I think it's important that consumers, being so aware, then act on that awareness. And that is what we have seen at Starbucks. Consumers being aware and realizing how much power they have to change.
To change.
Yeah? And I want consumers today to know, through the media access that they have, they're the most powerful tool to change corporations.
Right. Let's see from Karin.
Yeah, I think it's actually a great opportunity for businesses, because if you are a good business and you're sustainable and inclusive, that trust, you will not ruin it. You can try and build that image, and that can be broken in one social media action. But if your identity is the same as your image, so you don't have a conflict, you are who you pretend to are, then you actually have positive marketing and you can add value. People nowadays don't want the big billboards and hardcore sales. You want to be given added value. I want a company that adds value to who I am as a consumer. Yeah, I like to know if I go to an IKEA, which is a furniture shop, and I wash my hands there in the restaurant, and I know that I've saved water by the tap, the type of tap they use, I feel good. So they make me feel good. So it's not only that they have products which are grown in a responsible way and the wood is responsibly sourced, but it's also all the other things. You add value to the consumer. Consumers want to be informed. They want to understand. And so actually by being sustainable, you can boost, you don't need your marketing budget. You can just use it to be more sustainable, and you will have used your marketing budget much wiser. So that's a good thing. I have one comment I would like to make, and it's also on what the professor is saying. Yes, we are very informed, but it's not always that we understand fundamentally what's going on. Like if you want to teach kids, and it's not only about to switch off the water and to tell them how to behave. It's to fundamentally understand how you relate to those things. I saw once a school and I was quite impressed. If you enter that school, you have your wooden table, your desk where you work on, and you were taught the first day at school was not about how to behave. The first day of school was, this is your desk. It's made of wood. It came from that tree. It's your desk for the rest of your school life.
Yes.
You take care of it. Sand it, put lacquer, maintain it, you're using it. It came from somewhere. It's not an item placed there and I don't have a relationship with it. And I think those kind of things we need to understand. Have a shamba at school. I think then you understand why you don't use chemicals or why you do cross-cropping. I mean, simple things which understands how we get actually food on our plate and why you want the food you want. So you can be informed about this is better than others, but if you do not know why it's much better and why it doesn't contain the right nutritious, then we still are not informed enough.
Right. Maybe you can get closing remarks from Catherine just briefly. And I know this is quite a wider topic to actually broach exhaustively on this particular program. And we'll keep an eye at it. We try and expand the conversation until, the conscience of Kenyans actually embrace the issue of sustainability, because it's very key, especially when it comes to corporate. Let's hear from Catherine briefly.
Sustainability is the responsibility of each and every one of us, and that is why it is so important that we do not leave this whole discussion to just corporates, but ask ourselves at an individual level, what am I doing with regard to sustainability? Reading the story of Cape Town running out of water, I was very afraid. And my question was, what are we doing as a country? We have so much water right now in the country, but I'll not be surprised if a few months down the road, we have drought. What are we doing to make sure that we are conserving this water for use in the future? So my final word is, it belongs to each and every one of us. Everything we do, we must have sustainability at the back of our mind.
Thank you. Yep. Professor Oguge.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe before I make my last comment, I just want to comment a little bit on the regulation component.
Very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly.
Very briefly, we've got only 30 seconds because of time.
Right, okay. Yeah, which I believe that I agree with them that more regulation will not help. We should be self-driven. Secondly, on the kid training, now what Karin said, I agree with it, but it's part of just the the curriculum you develop in that program.
Yes.
Yeah. But going forward, I know that we are faced with rapid growing populations. We are faced with rapid urbanization, and you find that the income of most people will be.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Will be largely on issues of food, issues of housing, and issues of health.
Thank you.
And water. So that is a growth area, and we need the corporate to be innovative in addressing that.
Right, Gachora, let's hear from you as well.
Mine is very quick. The rains are here. They're beating us. We need to stop the rains from beating us. Let's plant trees. If you haven't planted your 10 trees, you still have a chance. It's still tree planting season. Let's go out and plant trees.
Let's go out and plant trees, right? And keep growing trees, not just planting.
Keep growing trees.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you.
Very important. Let's hear from Karin as well.
I will keep it very brief. I think let's think circular, because then everything goes round and round and round, and we're all part of it.